Thanks for tuning in to the GTO Good Old Boy Show with your host, Paul Ponder. New weekly episodes right here on YouTube and Fix TV.
Hey guys, we're down here at the docks at Goose Pond, and we've had a fella come in here, Mr. Jake Lawrence.
Yes,
Jake,
sir.
It's great to see you,
Nice
son.
to meet you.
He is one of the top professionals in the forward-facing sonar. Tell us some tips on the forward-facing sonar, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's obviously started to be a huge part of bass fishing and really fishing in general. And there's a few tips and a few quick things that you can do whether you're just getting a live scope or been experienced and still just kind of not had it click for you. So one thing that I always encourage, and I use a silly analogy and it's kind of goofy, but nobody buys an expensive compound bow and immediately runs up in the mountains and tries to shoot a really big elk. Like,
Right.
You're gonna practice with it. It takes, persistence and kind of a gaining an understanding of what it is that you're
Right.
doing and seeing.
What you're looking at.
Exactly. And so I always recommend you find something, a target, like here at Goose Pond, you've got some dock poles here over by the ramp, things that you can see visually with your eyes, as well as, a piece of
Right.
it obviously needs to be in the water, something that you can see on your live scope. And it will really help to learn distance and also an understanding and one major factor that I feel like a lot of people have a misunderstanding of is when they see an object moving to the left or the right of the screen, that's not left and right out in front of you. So again, this the forward facing, whether you're using active target, Humminbird or Garmin live scope, it's going to shoot out in a very narrow cone. So like
Right.
Garmin is a 21 degree cone, active target is an 18 degree cone. They're very, very narrow. If you can imagine like a mag light, if you'll
Yes.
zoom that mag light
Yes.
in, turn the lights out, you're only seeing a very small cone out in front of you. Now, the further you look, the wider that cone's gonna get.
Right.
And the forward facing does the very same thing. But find a target that you can see with your eyes, get an understanding of the distance, and you'll also see when you scoot up that target becomes closer to you. It's moving to the left of the screen. And I have a lot of people that have a misunderstanding. When they see it move to the left, they want to cast to the left.
I got you.
And when you see it moving to the left on the screen, it's actually getting closer to you. It's moving to the right, it's getting further away from you.
Kind of like back in a trailer, isn't it?
It is. You're exactly right. It's kind of opposite, but it's all the same. Once you gain that understanding, it's live scope or forward facing is really very simple. It's just hard to kind of gain an understanding of
all up
what
here.
you're seeing and kind of how to compartmentalize that. And it's why you're seeing a lot of young people, even my little 8-year-old, very quickly when I tell him, hey, this is what what we're seeing, they have a very, very good understanding of it.
Right, exactly.
And it's certainly something that some of the older guys kind of shy away from. I really, there's nothing against taking some time with this. It's
Right.
not something that you're going to learn overnight by any means, but it's not that hard. It really isn't. Again, I encourage you to find things that you're already familiar with,
Right.
whether it's your own brush pile, a stake mat, something that you fish all the time.
That you know
Anyway,
where it is.
you know where it is. Go find that and really kind of start that learning curve
Right.
of knowing what something is.
Is bass hard to find?
They can be. It all depends on where they set up. So, the more that they get up in the water column,
Yes.
away from targets or the bottom rather, the easier they are to see. The biggest key to understanding forward facing and what bass look like is, they're no different. All fish have their own what I call posture, or
Right.
the way that we walk. So if
The way
you-
they act.
Exactly, the way they act. If you and I go walking up the dock here,
Right.
we're not going to do it in the same way. Our
Exactly.
steps are going to be different, lengths, different speeds. Bass and really all fish in general are the very same way. And so when you see a dot out there on your screen, don't just look the dot itself. Look inside of that. Look for the little finite movements, the little differences, the speed that fish is swimming, how fast his tail is moving. There are little things about the dot, so to speak, that you can learn that will really tell you what it is. And kind of the general shape obviously will help, but honestly, most all of our freshwater species are fairly oval, kind of football-y shape. So you can't really just go off a shape. You really have to look at kind of the speed and how it's acting.
What about muddy water? Is it still usable in muddy water?
It is. It is. So, you know, there are many facets to forward-facing that you can utilize. And I have a lot of guys that utilize forward-facing specifically to see my target and make me more efficient. So again, we just fishing the second stage of the BPT at the Harris Chain, had a middle of the pack finish. Kind of glad to get out of there somewhat alive, but I was utilizing, and I feel like most of my competitors were utilizing our forward facing period not to actually see the bass. If you saw one good, obviously you would throw to it, but most of it was just efficiency, being able to see a little patch of eelgrass that was a little bit taller than the rest, or a little hole in the grass, a hard edge. You were able to be much more efficient at placing your bait in a strike zone, or where you would think a strike zone would be. So again, there are many more ways to utilize forward facing other than just throwing at dots, you know, with a jig head minnow. And that's something that originally, when this all started several years ago, you know, that was a really the main game and factor that I had, was just being able to hit a brush pile on my very first cast. And as we all know, generally, if you have an active one, you're going to catch them on the first time that you actually get your bait on the target. And what we're learning with forward is that it's really key to do that on the first cast. You don't want to be over here and him to kind of see the bait and to pull him away from a brush pile or a little clump of grass. You really want everything to be perfect the very first time that he sees it. That, you know, again, like if I throw a football to you, you may not want to throw or play football. But my kids do this all the time. You throw the football at me, I'm going to catch it. You know what I mean? You nag me enough, I'm going to do it. So, but again, I don't encourage anyone to be, you know, discouraged by it taking a little while. I also strongly encourage you to find someone that has spent some time with it, because it's very easy for someone who has spent time with it to say, that's not what we're looking for. This is this, you know, to kind of associate certain looks with certain things.
Well, do you carry people out and teach them?
So I actually, I used to do that, you know, prior to kind of being on tour and that sort of thing. I don't do it any longer. Just time constraints with as much time as it takes on the road. When I am home, I like to kind of spend time with
So when you get frustrated, you need to stop, go back to your old way of fishing, and then come back to it.
That's right. I tell you, you know, it's been a lot of fun, and I have, even as powerful as forward facing is, I still enjoy fishing for them, and it's something that I've never really stopped doing. You know, the last couple of years, let's face it, tournament wise, it's an efficiency factor. It's why, you know, guys like Van Dam and Aaron Martins and kind of some of the greats prior to this technology, they were ultimately more efficient than their competitors, than all the rest of us. You look at them, and I grew up watching them just as we all did. It was an efficiency factor oftentimes. And you know, ultimately, regardless of where, you know, the body of water that you're fishing or the style of fishing that you're doing, it's how many times can you get in somebody's strike zone throughout, you know, the course of a day, a tournament day. And obviously forward facing has really changed that game and really allowed us to be so much more efficient than what we ever have. But the BPT format is a lot of fun, and it's why I'm here. I'll be 100% honest with you. Had we had forward facing, you know, all three periods of Red Crest, I probably wouldn't have made the trip down here for a couple of days and looked around before the off limits. You know, it's so much strategy that goes into the BPTs and Red Crest now, with time management and you know, you still need to have a really strong forward facing period, but you've got to have kind of the old school patterns to play. And you'll get in this tournament, the way that Guntersville is fishing right now, you're gonna get left behind with
If you
a
don't have
strong forward-facing period and nothing to follow suit. So
Right,
I'm really
exactly.
coming down here and just idling around and spending a bunch of time behind the graphs and just trying to learn. You know, I came here often back in college at Bethel University. We had a ton of tournaments down here, but that was a long time ago. It's kind of crazy to even think how long ago that was. But the lake was so different. You know, we've got a lot more eelgrass now.
Correct.
And I think because of the hurricanes last fall, even less hydrilla than what we normally do. And so I'm just trying to find the high percentage places, the kind of avenues or travel corridors where I think these fish are going to be staging. The cool part about this tournament is it can all play. You know, again, Guntersville is so healthy. It's got so many 3 to 5 pound fish in it.
Correct.
It's going to be an awesome
Slug
high
fest
weight
thing.
tournament. It's going to be a really tough one to win.
But it's going to be exciting.
But it's going to be really exciting and a lot of fun to watch.
You'll
I
be
can't
able to
wait.
fish any way you want to.
You
catch
can.
fish.
You can. You're absolutely right.
And that's hard to say for a lot of lakes around
It
here.
is, you know, and forward facing is to kind of go back to that, you know, it's getting somewhat of a bad rap because of just how strong it is.
Yes.
But one factor that got brought to my attention a few weeks ago that's a very good point is, at least here on the TVA, you know, they were all impounded or dammed and built at different times. But you look at Wheeler and it's like, what, 100 years old, or
Yes.
don't hold me. It's
old.
It's older
than I am, so it's old.
That's right. And they're,
That's
well,
right.
I wasn't gonna say
Golly
that,
bum.
but since you did, but they're all throughout the TVA chain getting a lot older, and therefore there are less, you know, natural cover. And there's just less on the bank. I'm not seeing
Right.
near as many laydowns. The banks, you know,
Gotcha.
we're all doing a really good job of cleaning the banks and keeping
Right.
our yards maintained, and there's just not as much visible cover on a lot of the chain, and Guntersville is kind of the outlier in that because we still have grass here, and
Right.
that's why this place is so healthy. And I cannot say enough about the support. Whatever y'all are doing down here to keep
Right.
everybody appeased to whatever degree to keep the grass, I cannot thank y'all enough, and this is a testament to it. I mean, this is what happens when you can keep grass and keep good habitat in a lake. So
Right. So grass means a lot to these fish.
it does. Cover in general, in this
Yes.
case grass, it can be a lot of different things. I mean, you know, Tennessee, I'm originally born and raised and still live there on the banks of Kentucky Lake. And we're doing some things there, you know, some habitat increasement and
Right.
some things. But again, all the support that we can gain throughout Tennessee and northern Alabama. Alabama seems to be, you know, very much a part of this bass
Correct.
fishing industry and you know, supports it very much. And I support them because of that.
Right.
I really encourage a lot of the states, all the states, to get as much involved with this as we possibly can.
Well, I appreciate you bringing up the fact that Guntersville is so healthy right
is.
now.
It
and
is.
it's the grass has had a lot to do with
It
that.
has.
It's
It
let
has.
the little ones get big enough that they don't get eat.
You're right. And it gives everything in the system a place to hide, a place
Right.
to grow up, to get big enough to survive to some degree. So,
Exactly. But I want
absolutely.
to wish you good luck, and you're practicing for red crest,
yes,
right?
sir. Well, thank you very much.
And thank you so much for stopping by Goose Pond, explaining some of the forward-facing stuff and getting
Yes, sir.
back in the old way of fishing. And I want to wish you the best of luck in red crest.
Well, thank you very much. I can't wait to get back. I'll be sure to stop by the store here.
Guys, one of the best, if not the best, in forward-facing fishing, Mr. Jake Lawrence. We appreciate him taking the time to stop by, and y'all watch him, because he is going to be the man. He mentioned Kevin Van Dam, and everybody knows Kevin. Jake Lawrence. Don't forget that name. Thank you for stopping.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a great day.
Yes, sir. You as well.
Thanks a lot.
Mhm.